Good evening. I'm Ryan Graham. Thank you for joining us. Ontario Premier Doug Ford went off on the U.S. president during his visit to Thunder Bay on Thursday. The premier took aim at Donald Trump for his ongoing executive orders to raise tariffs on Canadian products. And Ford once again pledged to protect Ontario from the threats to our economy.
Folks, we all know this is a serious time for our province and our country. With President Trump taking direct aim at our economy, his goal is to take every single business out of our country, out of our province, and bring it down to the U.S. But I'll tell you, I will fight like I've never fought before, and we're going to continue fighting against President Trump and his radical views. I better stop there because I'll get on a rant. And I'll just tell you, our government is doing everything in its power to cut red tape and make Ontario and Canada the strongest economy in the G7. Our government has a plan to protect Ontario. And I always say our job is not only protect Ontario, but protect communities, protect families, protect jobs and businesses. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Just a few hours after Ford's speech, Trump announced he was increasing tariffs on Canadian products to 35% due to what he claims as Canada's failure to control fentanyl from crossing the border into the U.S. Ford was asked if there's any possibility of tariffs being lifted while Trump is the president.
You know, Prime Minister Carney's trying his best, but this guy will say something one day and he'll wake up and the cheese slips off the cracker and then all of a sudden he goes the other way. And you're thinking, how do you deal with a guy like this? Are we hoping that we can get a deal with zero tariffs? Yes. We're going to win this thing. One way or another, we aren't going to go down and we aren't going to roll over. We'll keep fighting every single day.
Cycling advocates in the city of Toronto are celebrating a victory. Ontario's Superior Court has struck down the Ford government's plan to remove bike lanes in the city. The judge ruled that the province's plan is unconstitutional, dismissing the government's claims that it would reduce traffic congestion. The Ford government says it will appeal the ruling. Here's CTV's Scott Lightfoot.
It is a legal decision that takes the air out of the Ford government's tires in its drive to remove bike lanes along some of Toronto's busiest streets. A Superior Court judge striking down the plan after a constitutional challenge by cycling advocates. Justice Paul Shabbos writing, the applicants have established that the removal of the target bike lanes will put people at increased risk of harm and death, which engages the right to life and security of the person. The evidence is clear that restoring a lane of motor vehicle traffic where it will involve the removal of the protected or separated nature of the target bike lanes will create greater risk to cyclists and to other users of the roads.
This wasn't about bike versus cars or even it's okay for drivers to be inconvenienced if it means cyclists are safer.
The executive director of CycleTO says they've always believed the province lacked the evidence to show that removing the bike lanes along Bloor, Yonge and University would speed up the flow of traffic and not jeopardize people's safety.
Ripping out these bike lanes will put people's lives at risk, and the province knows this, but it also won't address the traffic issues they're looking to solve, and they also know that.
Lawyer and cycling advocate David Shelnut agrees.
People are getting the wrong idea is that the decision is that cyclists have an entitlement to bike lanes under the charter, and that's not what the judge was saying. The judge said that the premier was proposing a law that was suggested would reduce congestion and commute times, and the evidence didn't show that.
Those who support realigning Toronto's bike lanes off of major streets are frustrated by the decision.
We're not against cyclists. We're against illogical bike lane placement, and this is ridiculous.
The Minister of Transportation releasing a statement that said, "We were elected by the people of Ontario with a clear mandate to restore lanes of traffic and get drivers moving by moving bike lanes off of major roads to secondary roads. To deliver on that mandate, we will be appealing the court's decision." The lanes will remain for now, pending the outcome of that appeal. Some cyclists hoping the province may reconsider its approach in favor of another solution.
There's got to be a balance between the two. Is it removing the bike lanes for half the year, or I don't have the answer, but there's got to be some balance struck. But removing it from the busiest street in Toronto is just like, come on, let's let's talk honestly, it's not practical.
Toronto is such a bikeable city. Like, vehicles are kind of impractical getting around, so if anything, like, people should feel encouraged to use these lanes that are here for their convenience.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Thunder Bay isn't the only city dealing with a housing and homelessness crisis. St. John, New Brunswick is moving forward with what is known as the Green Zone after the transitional housing project, similar to our city's temporary shelter village, was recently given the green light. CTV's Nick Moore explains.
The new Neighborly Homes community in St. John is about to welcome its first residents. Egbert Street is the first designated green zone in St. John, defined as a city-owned property that can provide transitional housing for people who are homeless.
We wanted to have a site that was on a bus route. We needed a site where we could bring in water and sewerage. But if we have it on our own property, then we manage it to our own terms. And so and we've got the $3.5 million between the federal government and the provincial government.
A colorful mural will greet residents here, leading to 27 individual sleeping units, shared bathrooms, showers, laundry, and kitchen space. A second Neighborly Homes community is about to be built nearby on Thorne Avenue. Both will be staffed around the clock.
So we need all kinds of solutions. This is one part of it. It's low cost, rapid to deploy, and we can get people housed quickly. But then we also need to invest in the more permanent supportive housing, which is also happening.
12 Neighbors, which operates a tiny home community in Fredericton, is taking the lead here as well.
This is a place where we want people to be on the move. When you're here, your job is working on yourself, working on the next step. This is really our goal, is to help people move toward independence.
The second green zone on Thorne Avenue is expected to open by the end of the year. Residents of the Neighborly Homes community on Egbert Street will begin to move in on Friday. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
Approximately 150 people came out to the Feast on Fire charity barbecue last week to raise funds for the Dewdrop Inn. And now the event's organizers have turned over a nice-sized check to the charity group. CSL Environmental and Geotechnical Limited organized the fundraising barbecue outside of their location on Russell Street. The staff were accepting donations in lieu of payments, and the event ended up being a big success. This week, the proceeds from the barbecue, $1,700, were presented to officials from the Dewdrop Inn. Executive Director Michael Keebell has big plans for the donation they received.
This is great. This is how the Dewdrop Inn serves a good meal every day with community support. So organizations such as CSL, who do fundraising initiatives for us, is very, very helpful.
Barbecue itself raised almost $850 from our friends and colleagues. And then our management team at CSL decided to match it. So we doubled the what we fundraised on Friday at the barbecue.
With an average cost of $3 for each dinner served at the Dewdrop, the money raised from the barbecue will provide approximately 566 meals for people in need. The CLE Fair marks its 135th year, continuing a long-standing tradition. The event features a full schedule of live local entertainment, family-friendly activity, and amusement rides, drawing visitors from across the region. Emmett Chilton reports.
The rides are now being set up on the CLE grounds, and thousands of families and thrill seekers are expected to pour through the gates over the next week to enjoy everything from sweet treats to classic bumper cars. The fair will be from August 6th to 10th from noon to midnight. This year features over 50 rides, live entertainment, a petting zoo, food vendors, and a firework display on the last day at 11 p.m. Fair Chair and VP of Agriculture, Basil Lishwood, tells us how the fair will give back to the community.
We have on Thursday a special needs day for people that, have to have some assistance or whatever. There's about, I think it's over 1,000 agencies we call. We give them tickets, rides there. So it's important to us. We give back to the community. It's about $50,000 if you put some money to it and everything else there. So we're happy to do that.
For the first time, due to a shortage of volunteers, the CLE Fair teamed up with the Murillo and Heimer Fair crews to share volunteers and equipment. The fair has brought back fan favorites like the Zipper and Swings, and Lishwood mentions some of his favorite rides.
My ride was always the Ferris wheel. It was nice and slow. I remember the days when I went, they had a double Ferris wheel, but that's not here today. It's different now. But, you know, I'm okay with the Zipper, the G-Force, anything like that. I can still do it.
Tickets are now available for purchase online and various store locations. For more information on ticket prices, you can go to the CLE website. Emma Chilton, TBT News.